cannabis, the spirit herb. I started consuming cannabis in 1968 in Vietnam. Even then I knew there was something special about it, but there was a lot of negative pressure, so I never was sure that I was doing the right thing. Later on, as I started my computer business, I would work on a computer problem all day long and couldn't figure it out. Go home and consume a small amount of cannabis, and the answer would just appear to me. So upon the development of my gravionic model, I started calling cannabis the spirit herb, because it seems to make everybody slightly more spiritual. And then with me finding the Urantia book and reading and discovering what it says, we find out that on some worlds there's one brain mortals, on some worlds there's two brain mortals, and on some worlds there's three brain mortals. And we're considered a two brain mortal for the two halves of our brain. So the center of mind is in the brain. But on these same worlds, there are 1 gland, 2 gland, and 3 gland species. And this is referring to our pituitary gland or similar glands in other species. We're considered a 2 gland species. And so it clearly says that the center of spiritual receptivity and imagination is centered in the pituitary gland. And we now know that the cannabinoids directly affect and control the pituitary, which changes brain chemistry, making people slightly more spiritually receptive and giving them imagination. And besides that, it also tells us that this was a life experiment world, and the life carriers have been credited with 28 improvements to the standard Nibbidon life type. And so one of those improvements was the ability of our cells to help heal each other. When an injured cell damage occurs, the surrounding cells come to its aid. They secrete certain chemicals that help it, and they begin making good cells to replace the damaged cells. And it says if our scientists would only learn of certain chemicals, it would greatly help in healing, and in response would end up helping cure many diseases. And so we also see that in the cannabinoids, that I make a simple salve made out of coconut oil and the extract from the cannabis plant, and it just has remarkable pain and healing characteristics. So our society has fought against something that would help us immensely become more spiritual and give us more imagination. And yet, for most of my life, I've been a criminal because I consume something that God gave us in nature and that is here definitely to benefit us.